Most founders are trying to build something that lasts. My guest today is doing something rarer. He's running something that already has for more than 100 years.
When I joined the business, I don't think I was qualified to run a business. Suddenly you're thrown, hey, sit in the boss's chair and be the boss. And I tell you, that's totally wrong.
Reading a cycle and moving against the crowd is one of the hardest things in the business.
So, I have a principle, never work with a friend. Wow. And over time, we've learned not never work with a relative either.
But do you think that your job, what does it actually demand of you? Building from scratch never would.
What I've inherited is good ethics and good values.
Being delusional is a superpower or a fastest way of losing everything. What do you think? I'll kick it off.
Yeah.
And I'll kick it off in a way saying that most founders are trying to build something that lasts. My guest today is doing something rarer. He's running something that already has for more than 100 years been there. The business spans more than across 20 countries and a dozen industries, from commodities to textiles to hotels. He personally runs one of the New Zealand's most respected hospitality groups. And the question on his desk aren't how to survive. They are which country next, how much should we risk, and 100-year-old business staying sharp in the age of AI. That's a very different altitude of decision making. And almost nobody talks about how it's actually done. We welcome Sudesh Jhunjhnuwala.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on Scaling Secrets, sir.
No, thank you for reaching out and doing this.
It is interesting that how your journey has been. There's not the business that you've started, but there's the inheritance. But inheritance also means that you need to go a long, long way in terms of doing efforts to keep it as well. You didn't start from zero. And as we talked about, the inheritance is something rare, right? So in from a business world that has already survived for generations of generations, being responsible for 100-year-old enterprise, is its own discipline entirely?
I think what I've inherited when you talk about inheritance is good ethics and good values and good doing the right thing.
True.
And I think that's the ultimate truth in no matter what you do, is being a good person. And I think that's what that's what I've inherited from my my dad and my uncles and all. So
That's good. But do you think that your job, what does it actually demand of you? Building from scratch never would.
Look, as you know, family businesses, I mean, it's full of graveyards of family businesses which have never really made it to the next generation. True. Because and we are just thankful and fortunate enough that it's lasted so long. And
Absolutely.
And now you have a lot of people have realized that there's this thing called family business, and there are all these consultants who can come in and do the whole next succession planning. And
is it?
Yeah.
I have never clue about it. I mean, that's a great information, but
yeah. So there's this recognition that yes, how to transfer to the next generation. And I think but how my dad did it or his dad did it, it's like it was just
handing over.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Like that's interesting. But other than that, right, from a generations of passing on, what is like your job is not something that the new age founder is doing or an entrepreneur is doing. Your job is completely different out of it, right? What is the most demanding aspect of your role?
Most demanding aspect, I mean, when I joined the business, I don't think I was qualified to run a business. As in, like, you join a business and suddenly you're thrown, hey, sit in the boss's chair and be the boss. And I tell you, that's totally wrong. Which doesn't happen anymore. My kids, they've all started from bottom and worked their way up. But in the past, that was expected. Like, oh, my son is going to come in
Yeah. It's
and
like old Hindi movies, isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah. Or any family business,
Is it?
as a matter of
Okay.
fact.
No.
So it's but now things are different. And if like, so much so that nowadays in the family business, if there's a child who doesn't have the aptitude, they don't get to join the family business.
So how do you decide? Like, I mean, is there a process to this, or how does it work out, or what do you? I'm sure there must be some kind of communication that must be happening with the kids or to take over the business, or even for yourself, right? I mean, if you tell him or her that you're going to take over the chair that I'm sitting someday, I'm sure even he or she is not enough capable to try to be capable. But there are people out there. There's way that they are measured. I should say. So is there a kind of, the way that you measure that it should be, X, Y, and Z, and that helps you to take over the business or maybe sit in that chair?
Look, I think it's more of just experiencing what like what like my daughter who's working in the business, how she's like in working. She's already worked her way up,
Yeah.
and she's learning constantly. She's like driving me. It's really interesting. Until now we were just cruising along, and now suddenly
Yep.
she's coming saying, "Yeah, we need to do better."
How does it feel for you when she says that?
Oh, look, it's confronting. Yeah, but it's that's true, because we've been very happy where we were, but that's not status quo is not her
Yeah.
where she wants to be.
Interesting. That is quite interesting, isn't it? Like pushing the boundaries of yourself and stuff. But I was and this is regarding your, when I was reading through who Sudesh is, I needed to get a bit more of a sense that yes, I'm doing this when I'm doing this. I read a few things, and this is about. I won't dwell a lot about history of your family, but I believe your family lived through war, displacement, starting over from nothing, but surviving all that, I'm sure it must have taught you some kind of lessons, right? I mean, if you're going through that kind of environment around you, being kid yourself, and then growing what you are right now, what do you think? What's the most valuable lesson that got passed down to you?
um, like, I've lived different countries, we've
Mm-hmm.
moved around. So one of the things that I've learned is, like, it's if you have to move, just move. You don't think about, hey, I've got a social life here. I'm really well settled in this country. But if you've got something better, just
Mm.
take the plunge and go for it.
Interesting. In terms of it, right? I mean, these days we talk a lot about people moving from New Zealand to Australia, and that is one of the things that comes quite right across when you say that. But how about a lesson that can actually teach you to work or do the business or become the entrepreneur? Was there any kind of lesson in there which was taught by the generations to you or passed down from the generations to you?
Look, when I was growing up, it was
Mm-hmm.
always expected that I'll not be working. I'll be working in the family
Okay.
business. So it was a given.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I was brought up, being I don't know if you know what Marwadis are. I mean, it's a
Just a little bit. I just have one friend, so I have not been really close to him, but he was my college friend. But yeah.
Yeah, so we are the entrepreneurs of India, pretty much, as they say. So you know it was ingrained in my mind from
Mm-hmm.
day one that
Mm-hmm.
you know you'll be when you grow up, you'll be
Mm-hmm.
doing business. But nobody teaches you about business.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in the past, from what I understand, like,
Mm-hmm.
I've seen with my dad and my uncle, they started working while they were still in school. I mean, it's like uh, and learning the ropes the hard way.
Yeah.
They never went to a business school.
Wow.
So going to a business school and
Interesting.
learning uh, is totally different from actually doing it.
Interesting.
And that's why, after I joined business, it took me a few years to actually know how to do
Interesting.
business.
Interesting. In regards for that, right? I mean, you talked about people being with you for such a long time, and now you've got this ultimate respect for the people and culture because it wasn't something of a past, but now it's of a present. Would you believe that these are the two more, like, I think when you say 15 years, it comes from a place where stability, and it also comes from a place of holding the people as well, because that's what people in culture do, right? Because they hold the culture and hold the people together. So do you believe that those are the two frameworks, or these are the two strategies that help, or people need to learn to before they get into business?
Um, I'm not sure if that's something that they need to learn, but it's definitely helpful because, the long-term staff are the ones who carry your culture. And, like when the new people join, I mean, they're the ones who are disseminating that culture down to them
Absolutely.
and holding everyone responsible for that culture.
Interesting.
So it's, you have to have that.
And that is quite interesting, because if I go back in terms of the work that I've done, right? Culture has always been a part of the conversation with the people, and for me, culture is as important as the people out there. So if I go a step behind in what you said, if I just recall that now, I think there has been a part of me, of wherever I've worked. It was pretty much out there, which I did not even focus on it. But now that you're telling me, that keeps me saying that maybe, that could be one of the reasons why it may not have worked, or may not have successfully grown into a bigger role. Maybe. I mean, again, I could be 100% wrong, but that's what I'm thinking right now. Which brings me to the third thing about what I really want to know is about decision making, right? I understand it is decision making at my scale is pretty easy. For the early founders, the early entrepreneurs, it's quite different, you know. And for you, if you talk about your decision making, you're not approving like one hotel, just weighing on the decisions of countries and industries and stuff like that. When a big call lands on your desk, what's your actual process of deciding?
It's again, doing the whole feasibility study. It's not like, a project lands on my desk and I go, yep, we're in. It's there's a whole feasibility study that has to take place. And if it doesn't work, we walk away from it. But there's, I'm, like I would say, like I would walk away from deals which my dad would not, because he was more aggressive about these things.
Okay.
So it's
So what's the difference, right? I mean, if you talk about your dad wouldn't have walked off, but you did, what is the major difference between you walking off and him staying? What is that major one thing?
I think he's more gung ho. It's like as in like I wouldn't take as many risks as he would, and that's why they grew exponentially. Whereas with us now, it's like a steady growth rather than.
Interesting. So that is because I've always wondered, was it like how much would be the data that you might see? Like again, that comes to the feasibility project. But I'm much more interested into that gut feeling when you see the project, right? The trust that you have on that particular project. How much that 2 points plays a role in the decision making for you?
When you look at a project, even before the feasibility study, I mean, in your gut that it's something that feels like right, and then the feasibility study just kind of validates it. It doesn't mean that we are pushing it to be validated in our direction. If the feasibility study says no, it's not good, you have to make that decision and walk away from it.
Okay, even if it costs millions.
Well, you pull the plug much earlier.
Yeah. Okay. But if you wanted to give me example, have you recently or in the past, have you kind of walked away from a deal like that? Do you want me to kind of walk through something, kind of one example, if that's coming to
so like sometimes you try to force a deal. So because we are not there in Wellington, we were looking at a hotel in Wellington, and after doing all the feasibility and everything, it was just crushing to. I mean, we had spent a lot of money,
of course,
in doing all the study and feasibility, and then, but I think in the end we realized that we were trying to force a deal where, just to be in a place. So it's.
But what was pushing you to get that deal across?
Oh, it was just to be in that, to fill that void.
Fill that void, is it?
Yeah.
Interesting. And was that what did actually push you back on that? Was it just the when you ultimately made the decision of, let's drop down here, there's a project itself. What was the reason? Like, was it what is the data? Was it the gut feeling, or was it that you felt something about the project that wasn't like, what, this is not right?
No, it's the feasibility study came out,
Mm-hmm.
and it said,
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to work.
Interesting.
So,
Interesting.
and that's where you have to, accept that. I mean, if we still wanted to go ahead and do it, I mean, that would have been, nobody would have stopped us. But
Yep.
it's it's a risk it was not worth taking.
Interesting. I mean, just for the conversation we had, I just really want to know. I mean, how much is the gut feeling and the trust and the emotional parts of takes a role in the business for you?
So I grew up like where my dad would be doing deals without at a shake of a hand rather than but nowadays I think this next generation, they are much more like let's have a shareholders
Yeah.
agreement first,
Oh,
let's
yeah.
have a let's have all the
Yeah.
i's dotted and t's crossed.
Mhm.
And I think that's the way it should be, because there are not too many people who I can shake hand and do a deal anymore. So
Not in this market these
yeah,
days,
yeah.
right? I
So
mean, yeah, it
so
is
it's
interesting.
better to have everything documented.
Yeah,
Uh,
it is quite interesting because I mean, well, I've and you'd be pretty right because I haven't seen anybody recently being in that space of handshaking a deal now. If it's happening somewhere, great. I want to really know and I want to see if it does happen. But I always think, I mean, is that really that people do? Like I've seen a lot of movies and people do a lot of handshake deals, right? And but I really want to know, is New Zealand or even in global, because you've visited so many countries, so let's not stick to New Zealand, but have you seen a lot of this happening still around?
um, it does happen,
Mhm.
but when when things are going well, it's fine. When things turn to custard, I mean that's when
Mhm.
because there's no proper documentation,
Mhm.
there's no proper exit strategy.
Mm.
It just turns into a big fight.
Mm.
uh, and so having the proper documentation up
Yeah.
front really avoids
Yeah.
that fight.
Interesting. There's a very wise, now that you talk about that, there's a very wise quote. And I think that I should give a credit to one of my friends for this one. That he always said, if you want to know a person, put $100 in and see what happens. And once that dynamic changes, the money pops in,
Yeah.
see what's actually happening in there. Because if the reaction changes or the person completely changes, then you will know that that person was worth keeping next to you, or was it an alibi, or was it just a guy sitting out there?
Yeah. So our principle, never work with a friend. So it's
Wow.
a
Like,
friend. Yeah. And over time we've learned not never work with a relative either.
well, that's a cool two things. I mean, the first one I've heard, but again, my question goes to what makes you say that?
Oh, because friendship is something very valuable, and
Mm-hmm.
to lose a good friend over a business deal that you've done,
Mm-hmm.
it's you can't get back a good friend. So it's
Yeah, I totally agree. That is quite interesting. We talk about accountability, but there's another thing that comes into play is about, that instant reading of people as well. I'm sure that is one of the key things that drives your business because you not just look after New Zealand, but you've met people around the globe, pretty much. So when you meet the people and you in the places where you don't even live, so how do you tie that to the years of the experience have you got? So if you wanted to read a person, what's your instant yes in a partner or a no in a partner?
like what I've seen is if somebody is trying to push too hard,
Mm-hmm.
it's like it just kind of gets the alarm bell ringing. It's like or if somebody is trying to be too nice, it's
Yeah.
like okay.
But does it happen quite often? Have you had any recent experiences about it?
Oh, look, when somebody's pushing hard, it just reminds me of a used car salesman, or it's like It's
Yeah, interesting.
yeah. So it
Interesting.
just kind of okay, and the thing with you, I mean, with you as a buyer or as someone who has to do the deal, you can always say, "Hey, let me think about it."
Yep.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's the out thing, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
you don't have to make a decision there and then. Oh, this is a deal only for today, and from tomorrow it's no longer there.
Oh, those timeline deals, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is interesting. And what makes you say yes? So that is about the no that we talked about. But what does it, when you meet a partner or a person that you want to do a partnership with, what is that feeling or what is that emotion or what is that kind of communication that makes you feel, oh, this is the right way to get it
Oh,
done?
look, I mean, if somebody's come prepared and they're comfortable in what they've got, rather than when they're not pushing hard, they're not like hey, this is when like how what I've learned over the years is how New Zealanders do businesses. Like when they go overseas, they are very unlike that pushy salesperson. Like rah rah rah, I'm this.
Yeah.
Whereas like here's
Yep.
my work speaks for itself.
Mm-hmm.
When something approaches you like that, you
Mm-hmm.
are much more comfortable. It's easier to say yes.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas someone who's trying to boast like
Mm-hmm.
I've done this, I've done that, and you kind of like think like, okay,
Mm.
let me think about this one.
That is interesting, right? I mean, that people usually think that you're always prepared, but you're underprepared. How do you identify, right? I mean, if you're going in a place like a small country itself, how do you identify whether the next 3 years or 4 years of after building this project or after investing into a business like this, it's going to make a money that it's going to make a money? Is there a process? Is there a kind of, or what is the framework to decide that that's going to make some money?
In a place like Tonga, it's more around build it and they will come.
But I mean, even if let's put Tonga aside, and if we put any other place like you've been, right? What is a kind of framework that happens in play to understand that this project, as in this project itself, it's gonna make a money or not? Like how does a business decide that?
Oh, what there's a lot of market data.
Mm-hmm.
So like in Auckland, we know this is the occupancy
Mm-hmm.
and this is the room rate a 4-star hotel can
Mm-hmm.
get, and a 5-star hotel will get this kind of rates and
Mm-hmm.
occupancy. So you
Mm-hmm.
use that to work out your feasibility.
Interesting.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
So it's when you go to in a new location, like when we built our Kaikoura hotel, there was no data. I mean, because there's no hotel there.
Okay.
So yeah, it's really pulling numbers like okay,
Yeah.
that was again one of those build it and they'll come hotel.
But now again, right? We talked about feasibility, we talked about trust, and that becomes now a clear sign of a gut feeling.
Yeah.
How to have that gut feeling? So I'm really keen to have that kind of understanding, that what brings that gut feeling saying that yes, let's go ahead with decision, this will make money. How?
I think it comes from experience. It's
Yeah.
and also seeing like having done that, like so like when we built our Auckland Airport Hotel, um, the valuers, I mean, who looked at it, said it will not work.
Okay.
So whereas I'd believe in it, we went ahead. So even though the feasibility wasn't working out, we said
Wow.
let's go ahead with it
But then what made you say that it's going to work?
because they didn't have any data. They had data from hotels which were run down. They were like
Yeah.
which were not really um, internet good new hotels. They had a
Okay.
data. They had data from hotels which didn't care because they were getting, which hadn't been renovated. No money was put in it because they were just getting business regardless of
Yeah.
whatever, because of the
Just being
location.
closer to the
Yeah,
airport, pretty much, and that was it, and that
yeah,
was the reason.
yeah. So
Wow.
when we opened, it
Mm.
forced those guys to put some
Mm.
money in and
Mm.
renovate.
Wow.
But what we did was we
Mhm.
pushed the room rates, we pushed the
Yeah.
occupant, everything kind of came
Yeah.
to us first.
Yeah. Interesting. So, correct me if I'm wrong here, Sudesh. So, you looked at the data, even though the data was good or bad, you always look at the fact that how much do you believe that the data is regarding that particular project itself before making the decision.
Yeah,
Am I correct on this?
yeah.
So, wow. No,
But in that case,
mm-hmm,
because the data was skewed in
mm-hmm.
terms of, like, we were not comparing apples to apples. Like in a place like Auckland,
Yes.
there are lots of hotels around, so
Yeah.
it's very easy to compare,
Mm,
to know that, hey, if I build a new
mm-hmm.
hotel, this is the expected room
Mm-hmm.
rate and occupancy.
Wow. Interesting. I mean, I'm just trying to get my, and the reason why I'm actually baffling right now is because it is interesting how the data becomes suddenly a point of, there was a point of importance of this data, and then again when you made a decision, that data was simply just the data itself. It did not lead the decision making process. That's what I'm saying. I want to move on to the topic we were discussing off camera, which is about the FTA, right? You were on the Prime Minister's delegation,
Yeah.
and you called it in a once in a lifetime sort of an opportunity, right? You were sitting exactly in the intersection of these two places that one you are from, one you've loved and you've settled here. Now you've moved everything here as well. But beyond headlines, where the real concrete opportunity that a sharp operator moving right now, where's the hype? Is there a hype here about this FTA everywhere?
Look, I think, there's a bit of fear mongering going
Mm-hmm.
on by certain
Mm-hmm.
poli- parties here,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's a huge win for New Zealand.
Why do you say that?
Oh, because we get access to this massive market
Mm-hmm.
in India, um, and and it's got a huge growing middle class. It's got a
Mm-hmm.
they understand New Zealand. They understand the clean green image New Zealand has.
Mm-hmm.
And even if, like, we are targeting the top end of India market, that's
Mm-hmm.
still a huge market to
It
target.
is. It is. If we talk about technology, we live in the AI world now, and AI is moving faster in hospitality, in different industries. But you know, but here's the tension. In For you specifically, your entire brand is built on a human touch, accessibility, genuine care. So how do you adopt AI without quietly hollowing out the very thing that makes Sudhima Sudhima?
Look, hospitality will always be human touch. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's you cannot entirely, like, it's not a call center where
Yeah.
you replace them with a chatbot.
Yeah.
So, but like our booking
Mm-hmm.
um, department, fine, slowly we can bring AI there,
Mm-hmm.
but you'd still want, when you walk into the hotel,
Mm-hmm.
you would still want a smile from someone, like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
welcome, welcome to Sudima.
Mm-hmm.
um, or when you are served a nice glass of wine or nice plate of food, that
Mm-hmm.
please enjoy your meal. It's
Mm-hmm.
so, like, even though we've implemented
Yeah.
robots in delivery robots in some of our hotels,
Oh, okay.
it's not something that, like, if you ordered the food, that the robot will come and stand there and you pick up the plate.
Mm.
It's the job of the attendant there
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that he picks up that plate and puts it on your table.
Ah, okay. So there is a human interaction still available
Yeah.
um, for this robot.
So, I mean, like, the there are different types. So there's the room delivery robots, there's the cleaning robots. Room delivery robots, so if you order something,
Mm-hmm.
the robot will come to your room and
Interesting.
and that's where
Uh,
you have to obviously take your own
mhm.
things off the robot.
Is it like more like it's moving around and you come and take the
No, no,
plate?
no.
Or
So I'll come to your room
okay.
and I'll call your room,
Mm-hmm.
saying, I'm outside, please.
Wow. So, I mean, you've won everything. And from a scoreboard perspective, the world keeps these days, and I'm sure people have the awards that you have. That's out there. People know that in management, Sudhima, Sudesh, he's winning out there in terms of the awards and everything. So, when you already have all of it, what's left to call a success?
Oh, I'm quite content. Like you say,
Mm-hmm.
there's what's left is, passing it, you know, keeping it, making it nice, a nice, something that I can hand over to the next generation in a
Mhm.
nice shape.
Mhm.
Um, you know, a, something that can be carried forward. I think
Mhm.
that's what I'm looking at now.
Mhm. Are you doing anything deliberate to make sure that the transition of the business is stronger?
Um, yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
that's something that we are working on at the moment.
Okay. Do you
Uh,
mind sharing it?
no, as in like, just like I said about governance and
Okay.
doing,
Okay.
all those point
Interesting.
of actions that
Okay.
we are looking at doing.
Mm.
So
That is quite nice.
just so that we can, the next generation coming in can take it and grow further.
Mm. Interesting. Last question. Okay. You're sitting on 100 years of business that has outlasted wars, cries, and every technology wave so far. If you had to distill it, what is the one scaling secret to building something that actually endures?
I think doing the right feasibility. I mean, not
Mhm.
always relying on gut instinct, but doing the right. Um, cash is king, as they say. If it's not generating enough cash,
Mhm. Mhm.
don't go
Would
there.
what would you say to a young founder who's looking at this? He's end of this podcast right now. Like he's looking, okay, Sudesh is one of the person that I want to become in the next 25, 30 years or down. He has a book and a pen in his hand. What do you want him to write it down from today's conversation?
Look, there is no secret. I mean, everyone is on their own journey, but if you can be ethically correct, be a nice guy, I mean, be a nice person. I think that's all that will always endure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but apart from that,
Mm-hmm.
whether your business is successful or not, that's in your own hand. I mean, how well you run it, how
Mm-hmm.
you've chosen the right path, you've chosen the right business. But uh, those are all part of your journey. But make it a nice journey whereby you are, being nice to people, being running your business ethically, paying your bills on time. it's, it's
Seems like more important these days, but yeah. Now, thank you so much, Sudesh.
no, my pleasure.
And what I would like to tell the people, it's a center of judgment distilled into this conversation today. To everyone listening, if this gave you much more of a sharper way to think about the long game and how to build not the cash but the wealth across years and years to come and the generations to see that, and you know um, then think about this as an episode, that how you're going to do that, what's gonna look like for the next 10 years for you or 20 years for you. Because yes, short-term game is great, it might build you some cash, but if you want to sustain there for a long long time, let's say over 100 years or 50 years, what are you going to do then? And I think Sudesh has given us enough information around how we can do that. So thank you so much, Sudesh, for doing
No,
so.
no,
Really appreciate your time on that. And if you believe that there's someone out there who needs to learn something from this episode, please send it to them and tell them to watch us, like us, share us our episode, and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.